Welcome, everyone, to Give a Shift, the podcast for those of you that want to make positive, radical change in your life so that you can up-level your health, create the body that you not only feel great living in, but look great living in, and have longevity with energy and vitality. I am Nancy Leeds Gribble.
And I'm Alicia Ziegler.
And we are excited that you are here. Yay! This is episode number 5.
We did.
We're high 5. We're 5 in. We're 5 in.
That was good. It was like, are we sure?
Yeah. It's been super fun. Alicia and I are having a great time. And every time we do a podcast, it evolves a little bit more into how we can be of service and provide value so that you have takeaways that you can actually apply to your life. Because we know that when it comes to nutrition, when it comes to health, self-care, all the things, it can be overwhelming. There's a lot of noise. So we want to break it down for you and provide those small things and then bring on expert guests that can also do the same.
Which is why I'm super excited about Nancy's guest today. I've been looking forward to this for 2 weeks. So because she's your friend, I'll let you do the introduction, but I am extremely on the edge of my seat excited for this one.
Yay! So our guest today is Lolita. She'll kill me.
Wait, it's okay. In the business, we'll say take two.
Take two. Our guest today is Lolita Guarin, and she is, I'm going to read it a little bit because it's pretty powerful. She's a 4-time best-selling author, healer, empowering speaker, and trustworthy coach for busy professionals and adult children of addicts. She has been featured on TV shows, events, and numerous podcasts. She is the author of Crush Stress While You Work, Tips and Tricks to Stay Energized, Organized, and Happy in Your Work Environment. She's been a featured author in Amazon bestsellers such as the Wellness Universe book, Complete Self-Care, 25 Tools for Goddesses, and Miss Adventure's Guide to Ultimate Empowerment for Women, Harness Your Power and Thrive in Every Area of Your Life. And most recently, and I'm super excited because it's my second signed copy from Lolita, she has published another Amazon #1 best-selling book, Stress Management for Adult Children of Alcoholics. So to say Lolita knows her stuff is an understatement. And I'm going to bring her on so we can carry on with the conversation.
I feel like I need to clear my library, though, for Lolita's works. Yay. I need to make some space.
Yes, make some space for Lolita's work. So welcome, Lolita. You know, I love you, and I'm so glad that you're here.
Well, thank you so much for having me. That's such an honor, and so nice to meet you, Alicia.
You too. Yes. I've been looking forward to this one for a while.
Yeah, so I have to tell you, Lolita and I met at a networking event, like right when I moved to Houston, right? Like I think it was like maybe lived here a year or two, and we kept crossing paths, and she always looked like super professional and doing her thing. And then one day I got to hear Lolita speak, and oh my God, it was so great. And then not only was it powerful, the information she was relaying, but she had like this rubber chicken. Do you remember that, Lolita? And I'm like, oh my God, she's funny. So a little tidbit about Lolita with all her accolades. She's also been trying her hand at stand-up comedy. So
love it. What more can we ask for?
Yeah. So talk about someone who ventures out, who take risks, who does all the things.
Who is shifting left and right.
Yes. So Lolita, I'm going to turn it over to you a little bit right now. If you could just kind of tell us a little bit about yourself and just let's start there. Let's hear a little bit about yourself.
Well, so if you will continue listening to me, you will pick up on my accent. And no, I'm not from Boston. I'm from Lithuania. Yes, it's a country for those who don't know. because usually Americans learn about the countries from a different news, right? Like everybody knows where Ukraine is now, and everybody thinks I'm from Ukraine. Well, I'm not. Okay, I'm from Lithuania, and obviously things always happening in the world that we're very sad and stressed out about it too. But so I came to US 23 years ago. I came as an au pair, like a nanny, and 3 years old was my English teacher. So if you do not like my English, you can complain to her.
Okay.
Yeah. So of course I worked in the different environments and in the corporate and the private and whatever, and I got physically ill because of stress and hormones and all of that. There's nothing new, right? We all know that stress is causing us physical disease, and then I started learning a lot of things like, oh, you need to meditate, you need to breathe, you need to do yoga, and all of those great things, and nutrition. And I was doing a lot of that, and I realized a lot of stress was also coming from the environment where I was working. Hence, my book, Chris Stress While You Work, came out. And I was teaching a lot how to manage that and time management and affirmations and all of this. And I realized that there was like not the bottom of it, like I was like, I feel like there is missing something. And then I realized finally what it was. And turn out I have a childhood trauma because my dad was an alcoholic. And I didn't know I had it.
Yeah.
And then I realized, that's the original wound.
Yes.
So it looks like this. It's like you can take as many meditation as you want. You can take yoga, whatever you want. But I think that's like a bandage. That bandage that help you to manage your triggers in the situation. But you really need to address the original wound. Is what's really happened to you. How you saw what happened to you, how you took it in, and how you processing what's really happening to you. Because when I was learning more about how to manage stress, of course I did a whole bunch of books and workshops and all that. When we into something, we read everything and we participate in everything.
Yeah.
And I realized that I would be in some situation, and so the same things would happen to me as it would happen to other people, but they will be like calm. They're like, yeah, okay, like, all right, your car is gonna take you 20 minutes to change the tires, and they will be like, yeah, okay, cool. And I'm like, what? Why for this? And then like, it's not a big deal, but why am I reacting that way?
Yeah.
I'm creating more stress into myself, but why?
Yeah.
Because I learned that how to react, how overreact, anxiety, hypervigilance, and all kinds of other things that we can talk about, that what has to do with the childhood trauma. And then I realized, you can have two people doing the same yoga, but one is going to take it in very differently than the other one because of the original wound that been inflicted when you were a child. So now I think that's of course I coach clients and I have online programs and all of that. Now I go not to, hey, you need to meditate for 45 minutes and you'll be fine. Or, no, you need to really work on yourself. You need to help your wounds to heal. You need to honor yourself and all other things. So maybe that's a long description of myself, how I arrived to today, but that's what happened.
Yeah. Yeah. So you realize, so you were doing all the things about stress, and then somewhere along the line, you realized, whoa, wait a minute. I'm still carrying this. What's going on here? And you kind of did like reverse engineering and realized it stemmed from how your environment growing up. Yeah. And I think, I know Alicia will agree with me here, because Alicia and I both, we nutrition, right? We do nutrition, fitness, weight loss coaching, all those kind of things. And we have those clients that no matter what, they can't break through. And you can, from an outside perspective, look at them once you've been doing this for a long time, I think, and see, oh, it's not the weight on your body that you need to release. It's the weight here. So how do, like, as Alicia and I, and what we do, how do we explore that with somebody, or tell somebody, like, or notice it in somebody, I guess? so that we can then direct them in a positive way to go get help from you?
I think with any change in life, working on your weight loss, working on your achievements, or reading your affirmations that today is a better day, and if you deep down do not feel like you are worthy of receiving what you're trying to reach, you're not going to get it, because then you'll be working against yourself. And since number one priority for us to survive, the brain always wants to keep us alive.
Yes.
It will work against us, which is thinking that's actually saving us. I read this research that it was just shocking to me, which I am actually mentioning this in my book as well. Did you know that when you are in a stressful situation, your brain says, "Oh my gosh, I need to freak out. I need to freak out," and then you freak out, and then you're still alive. You didn't die.
Yeah.
And your brain says, "Oh my God, that freaking out totally helped. I'm going to do it next time."
Oh.
I was like,
yeah, that makes sense though. Your brain was rewarded.
Did that not just go with what we were just talking about before Lolita came in? I'm like, I'm just gonna have to pause my universe for a second and just sponge that in.
so
you get that out like Christmas cards right now.
So you basically, when you're working against yourself, no wonder that you will have clients or people who you want to help succeed, let's say, in the weight loss and the healthy living. If they do not really believe that they are worthy of being healthy,
right,
they're not going to be healthy. They can mentally maybe think like, yes, I need to lose weight. I need to have a healthy life. I want to, learn how to manage my food and my stress and everything. But also, if they come from a family and the environment where they were constantly reminded that they are not worthy, let's say somebody, maybe an addict in the family, a narcissist, or even a parent that's not emotionally available and not giving enough of affirmation to a child, saying, yes, you are good, yes, you're worth it, and just giving enough of affection and attention and validation. You will be dealing with an adult who is still like this little child who wants the validation. So imagine if, let's say, a child did not get the validation, and or even worse, gets his feelings invalidated. Let's say the child says, "I'm hungry," and his mom says, "No, you're not. You just ate." Or like, "I'm tired." Like, "No, you're not. You are not going to wait. You're not going to go to sleep now. We're going to wait till the nap time." So the child's needs being invalidated. And at the same time, in the process, it's learning not to trust himself.
Your instinct.
Yeah.
So now when you're an adult, you do not trust what's happening really with your body. And so when you're a child, you learn that, this is me, but the mommy or daddy or any authority figure or like caregiver, right, does not like this part of me. So I'm going to suppress it. Let's say you love to sing, but they tell you, you have no voice, shut up. And so you're like, okay, this part of me that loves singing, I'm going to kind of tuck it away, and I'm not going to pay attention to that anymore. And then you'll be always afraid to be singing, right? Because you will remember how your parents said, hey, this is bad, we don't want to see this. Or being angry or being disappointed. Parents need to, or those caregivers for a child, they need to show that they are supported and they validate it. Like, you feel this way, it's okay for you to feel that way. So then when they're an adult, they really believe that they're worthy, that they have the belief system of themselves that whatever I'm feeling is true, and they trust themselves. So if you grow up in the environment when you've been told that whatever you're doing, nothing works, you're not good enough, no wonder you have an adult who comes to the program to do weight loss. They may be doing exercises, but in their mind, they're like, I know it's not going to work. I'm a loser. I'm always being told I'm never will achieve anything. I never achieve my goal.
Right.
So I think for the clients, for the really, if you want to make a good start for them, you need to give the validation. So because you see, when we take this part that others don't like singing part, like, okay, nobody likes me to sing, meaning I am also abandoning that part of myself. I'm separating myself from myself. So you need to help them to find themselves and say, you know what, whatever you are, I'm honoring that. So I know there's a lot of programs. It's like, oh, you need to do this 100%, and you had an apple today, and it was a low carb day, and shame on you. You know, you're gonna do 20 push-ups, whatever. So I really love when I participate in any program that Nancy does, because there's always like, it's okay, you know, it's okay. So you as a coach, like in any coach, a business coach, a weight loss coach, stress management coach, is you need to really address the child that's inside to give the validation, the support, the understanding, and telling them it's okay. You know, it's okay. You know, nobody will die if you ate the apple or you ate that pizza today. Okay, it's okay. So it all starts with bringing their self-esteem up, giving them opportunities to trust themselves. And then when they trust themselves, then they will start seeing the results. Because you can tell your affirmations as long as you want to, and you can force something in. But if you deep down think that you don't deserve things, you'll be physically ill. And we already know there are plenty of research done how powerful the thoughts are, the energy is, and what makes you really sick. So you need to start with saying, it's okay. It's okay. Supporting them, validating them, and, you know, being their best friend and hearing them out.
Yeah.
The listening. Would you say that the original incident for someone is always when they're a child? Or what if someone had a great childhood? Like
oh my God, I love that word. Childhood.
Can have a trauma. Like, let's say they had a decent childhood, or they grew up with all this good stuff, and then a little bit later on in their life, then they had their trauma. And their trauma, can their original incident start just later?
So it's been taught that, and who knows, maybe next year we're gonna have a different, you know, like everything always changes. But but for now, as we're doing this interview, I heard the opinions that all the traumas are being formed until the child is 7 years old.
7.
Oh.
After that, we keep on repeating the same traumas. Now, somebody could say, I had an amazing, beautiful childhood, and don't tell me that I have childhood traumas. We all do, okay? Just one have less than others. You know, if you grew up in a dysfunctional family, which there are a lot of those families, you probably have more trauma than, let's say, somebody who grew up in a stable and loving family. You know, when I was reading more, obviously, about the childhood trauma, simple things like, let's say, you are a baby and you are crying. And you know, it was so popular. I don't know how it is now with kids, but it was like, if the baby's crying, let them cry out. And then when they're done crying, okay, now you can come to them, because that's how you training them not to cry.
Yeah.
This actually could be coming from a very, very loving parents, because they've been told to do that. But what's happening is you abandoning that child, and you inflicting fear of abandonment trauma. So it can look like, yes, you come from a loving family, but one little thing can inflict the trauma that will be continuously PTSD for the rest of your life. Every time when somebody is not calling you back, when they not come back, they late, they whatever.
Yes.
So we always need to understand we all have them. It's just a matter is to identify them, identify what triggers us, and then heal that original trauma. But it's totally doable. You know, it's not like, oh my gosh, I'm damaged now, forget it.
Right. Well, then we're all damaged, and send out the crazy glue, because I once went to, and it was even in my later years, and I'm a runner and was a gymnast, and I went to a ballet class, and she was like, unless you tuck that butt under, you'll never be a ballerina. And I think I ran home, and that was it. So I know what it feels like to have separated from myself, or when I see something and I'm like, I remember when someone told me, you can't do that. And I didn't. But you forget, right? You suppress. I'm sure it creates a residual stress, because then we see it, or we are informed by it in a book that we read or anything like that. And then all of a sudden we probably have this like subconscious feeling of like, not I gave up on myself, but I wish, right? It's covered as I wish I did that. I wish I had. But that wish is, wow, you really actually didn't get to like validate yourself, like Lolita said. And now you're really seeking it. And other people do it in a lot of other forms, right? Then they do it with addiction, with drugs, with food, with sex, gambling, what have you. So.
And we belong to a group. We need other people. So we will do everything in our power to not be excluded from the group. Mm-hmm. And I think right now is a humongous pandemic of loneliness because we separated ourselves so much and divided ourselves that we even lost what does that really means to be me. And it's just continuously in everything that we do. And we don't even know how to connect anymore.
Well, you just look at the teenagers. Like that's a definite. I'm curious when you were talking about like when you have siblings that grow up in the exact same environment, exact same parents, and one I'm just going to very generalized here, seems to be functioning normal. Mm-hmm. And the other one's a hot mess. Like everything's chaotic. Everything is a big stress. I mean, it's like the smallest thing. Like, how does something like that happen?
None of us, we are not just a piece of clay that is all the same. You can shape your child and whatever you want it to be. No, right? Yeah. So we all are born with our own set of things, our own soul, right? And so that's mean that the same family, the same kids in the same, the kids in the same family, really what's different between them is how they internalized what was happening to them and how they were dealing with that inside. So you can have, let's say, 3 siblings who 2 of them are hot mess and they, whatever. And then one has all his stuff together. They have a wonderful, happy family. They're very successful. They're the nicest people. They never will do any harm for others, afraid to say no, the people pleasers. And guess what? They get cancer and they die. But all those 2, the hot messes, hey, they're living. They're like, how come all of the good things happen to the bad people? The bad things happen to the good people, but the bad people always do whatever they want with their life and somehow they happily alive till 100. It is because how they manage stress. It's about how they allow themselves to express themselves, how much of themselves they abandoning. And the people pleasers, sadly, but for you to be very good and kind is actually physically killing you. Yes, I said that. And that's not even my own words.
You can just say that again so I can make it a bumper sticker.
But probably Gabor Mate will take this one and say, I said that, it's.
So Alicia's going to say something real direct and go, I'm protecting my health.
I say things very directly and they are not appreciated, but I was sick, not using my voice. I realized I used to have a lot of throat issues. And when I started to kind of deep dive from my trauma and my covering and how I was healing and, doing all the things that I thought were fixing it, but it was constantly bubbling up. And I realized I would lose air and I would try to speak and my voice would become so hoarse or so cut off or so sore. And I realized I was like, you have to just speak your truth. And if this person is not on board, that's okay. That's not part of your community or your person or your healing. But for anybody, I mean, like honesty really is important.
Yeah, I agree.
And I don't have siblings, so I can't imagine like.
I don't have siblings either. I'm only one child too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have siblings and I have a child. And I was in the era of, in that decade of, don't pick him up. No, he would cry and I'm like, I'm coming. Right. I didn't listen to anybody. I'm like, I didn't have a child not to pick him up.
That's just a stressful situation for the parent and then for the child. Mm-hmm. And it seems like instinctively your need, even if you were in the wild, would be like, my kid is crying. If the wolf is crying and the mother's over here, I'm going to go check it out and see what's wrong. So it seems weird that as adults, we're like, just let it go. Finish your vino and then go check on your kiddo. It's like, it's kind of important. See what's going on.
I felt it was important. Yes.
And that's how the fear of abandonment comes to a child. And it's already been, again, lots of research done that there's this idea of, if I will leave my child alone, they will learn how to be independent. Yeah, well, out of survival. But if you really want your child to be not damaged that much, but be successful in life, give them support, appreciation, and safety. So you give them the safety, and they say, like, pay attention how usually children behave when they're playing. If they see that mom is calm, everything is okay, they will wander away to play because they know when they need the mommy, she will be always there. So that's mean they will be going away farther, meaning becoming more independent and more successful, in more peace of mind and more able to help others. The child who's always afraid that the mom is going to leave, he's always going to pay attention what she is and will always cling to it, right?
Yeah.
So it's like if somebody thinks, I'm just going to leave them alone and let them cry out, that's not the way to do it. You're just inflicting the fear of abandonment when they really want to cling to that. And then they carry into adult relationships and they say, I don't know, I just met this guy a week ago and he doesn't want to talk to me. Well, how often were you talking to him? I don't know, every 3 hours, and he doesn't message me in 2 minutes back. I'm in anxiety attack. It's like, she's crazy. Like, but why? Because that's what you've been taught.
Yes. Boy, there is a lot to unpack here.
That's a whole segment right there.
I'm like, that's a lot. There's a lot to unpack with you, Lolita. And I think it's all fascinating. And so I'm going to shift a little bit because I think we have the one aspect, like with the book that you just wrote, adult children of alcoholics, but not everybody falls into that category. And you also I shouldn't say just, but you help people who are running day to day. Maybe they don't have these traumas and stress, right? They've got the stress. And I don't know about anyone else here, but I think the worst thing that somebody says is when you're really stressed, just calm down. Calm down. And you need to not stress so much. Is that true? I mean, I just need to not stress so much. Helpful. So with that, how is the best way? If somebody hears that and they're like, they know they're stressed, they're just overwhelmed, they've got a million things on the plate. How do you help them manage? What do you tell to them to help them manage that? What tools are really realistic for people to use?
So first of all, they need to honor themselves. And it starts like if someone is stressed out, they should not beat themselves up and say, oh my gosh, I'm stressed out again. Yeah. Or like when you get angry, like, oh my God, I got angry. I'm not supposed to do this. This is such a low vibration. And then you get angry at yourself that you got angry. So you need to start really, when something happens to you and it triggers you, you need to like really just stop, which is very hard to do.
Yeah.
But if you already got to stopping point and you just ask, okay, what is really happening now? Like look at yourself from the side and say, okay, if I would be my best friend right now, what I would tell myself, is it really that bad? The situation is really that bad. If somebody's about to die or I'm about to die, of course, if the child is getting an accident, somebody's going to die. So you better be quick, right? There's no time to think. But if you are late 2 minutes, and you are really anxious because a lot of stress we create ourselves. When you think about it, many times it's not a big deal. You really need to assess how important that is. If you just ask, well, is whatever happening right now, will it make my life different in 5 years or in a year? And if it doesn't, it's not a big deal. Like being late. Everybody's so stressed out in traffic, right? We like, oh my gosh, oh come on. We take so much personally. Somebody cuts you off and you're like, I cannot believe it. How did he do this to me? It's like, you don't even know who's driving that car. But we get into this rut of, this is how we supposed to react. And we learn that. A lot of stresses we learn from our parents or, whatever caregivers that you grow up with. So you pay attention how they also talk with themselves, how they operate, and you will realize at some point that, oh, this is a learned behavior for me, and I can change it and I can unlearn it. So, but
Yeah.
always the number one thing is honoring yourself. Like, do not abandon yourself. Do not be harder on yourself when something's happening to you. You have to honor your feelings, and then you have to really kind of get into that feeling of, okay, I'm feeling this and I'm allowing myself to feel that way. So that way you're not abandoning yourself as if your parents were abandoning you when they were invalidating your feelings. So, and the best advice is if somebody, let's say, stressing out or going through a difficult time, the worst thing to tell those people is like, oh, you lost your job. Oh my gosh, my sister lost a job too. Or like, I remember when I lost a job, and yeah, it was very. It's like, how is that you're helping that person? You're
Right.
not.
Right.
So it doesn't matter if that's the other person or you telling yourself. When something happens to you, you need to ask yourself, what is that I want and I need? What's my inner child right now needs? Do I need a hug? Then go get a hug from your partner, your friend, coworker. I don't know.
Your dog.
If you alone, you can just do brush off physically. Like kids run for the hug. That's already wired in our brain. The physical touch is extremely important. Like, so you just can hug yourself. Like, you give yourself, a nice hug, and you're like, that's good.
I'm a hugger too.
Yeah.
I'm a hugger too.
I'm like, hi, stranger.
My son doesn't like to be hugged, so he gives me the pat, pat, pat.
That's funny. Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's okay. And so then it matters to whom. Also, I recommend to how to stop the train of thought, like something triggers you, and then you start thinking, oh my gosh, you can go into abyss. So as soon you realize, like, oh, this is happening to me now, you just start doing some affirmation. You can say, I'm calm, collected, confident, and in control. Or you have maybe, I'm okay, I'm okay, I'm okay, I'm okay, I'm okay, I'm okay, I'm okay. Or you even have like a Bible verse that you just kind of pull up on your phone and you read it. The point is, so you will not allow your anxiety to take the best of you. So you can repeating the same thing, which is calming you down because you're concentrating on something that's affirming for the better, to make you feel better. And then you do like physical touch, and I hear from clients, they're like, what if I'm in a meeting in the middle of a presentation and I have an anxiety attack? I'm not gonna start hugging myself here, how it's gonna be weird, and I'm like, why don't you just then massage your fingers? You're still touching it, right? And there's of course there's lots of nerves and everything. You just massage your fingers. Nobody's gonna see nothing that you're massaging your fingers.
Yeah.
So you're still doing physical touch. Also, breathing, it's very important. We already know this. Breathing in and out. Look, you can do counting, no counting, just breathe, okay? Because a lot of us just we like paralyzed, right? So something happened right away. You stop, you assess, is it important for me to react right now, or I just can slow down? What is really happening? Physical touch, repeat yourself affirmation, breathe in and out, and then give yourself some time. And you decide that I'm going to decide and assess the situation again in 10-15 minutes when I come down. Do not do something drastically, don't decapitate somebody and then realize, oh, I'm so sorry, I shouldn't have done it.
Yeah. My bad.
Whoopsie. Next time I'm not going to do it. Oh, it's not going to be next time.
Okay, so let me ask you this then. I'll put myself out there. So I've been in this little cyclical moment of that stress pattern. Okay. And I will say that it is from A to B feels like not only an eternity, but it's doomsday within 0.2 seconds of incident, and then feeling and being able to like zoom it all like kind of out and be present. So when you're with somebody who's, let's just using the word, I guess, trigger you, because we all know what that means, and it's turning into that, what do?
So first that
I live in LA. I also drive in terrible traffic. So everybody, don't cut me off. It's only going to save you 7 minutes, but okay.
It's about the traffic. You just need to say it. If somebody cuts you off or they're doing something crazy on the road, you know what? You should just, as in any situation in life, change the point of view about the thing. So do not take it personally. You know what I tell myself when somebody cuts me off? I tell to myself, oh my gosh, they probably really need to pee.
Yeah. They probably do too.
They
Yeah.
probably,
Probably
or maybe, maybe their wife is in labor. Maybe
Yeah.
their parent is dying. We don't,
Yeah.
seriously, we do not
don't
know.
know.
But they definitely not woke up this morning and said, you know what? My goal for today is to cut off 15 people and you happen to be 14. So one more to go. No, nobody thinks that way, you know?
Right.
So many times it can be totally not personal. But
Yeah.
when you see somebody who is immediately like triggers something, remember also one thing: only hurt people hurt others. It may be not even personally to you. They coming from their own insecurities. We all have childhood traumas. We all dealing with all kinds of things. So in the blink of a second, and especially if you're dealing with the people that they you care for them and they care for you, everything is super magnetized, right? You're like, oh my gosh, they don't love me, they're gonna abandon me, they think I'm a loser, and all of those fears kind of come to. But as soon you just like, if you can, and it comes with practice, like the more you do it, the better it gets. And so then you stop and you're like, okay, what I'm hearing right now, what makes me react? Then later you can think, okay, well, whatever they said that really hurt my feelings, but what was the original wound? Oh, you know what, my mom used to say the same thing, and then I felt unappreciated, invalidated, and pushed away and alone.
Yeah. Yeah. So if she's at A and then B hits, like just stop.
I'm gonna say, yeah, it's probably stop and
Mhm.
rub your own hands and take probably either just isolate the and like just kind of stop, right? I'm assuming
Yes,
not
you
breathing.
breathe. Yeah, you breathe in, breathe
Try
out,
to
and you're
use
like,
it right
stop.
away, even though you're panicking on top of
Mhm.
trying to breathe and process and think. Because I think the majority of people, right, like even in stress, right, it does feel like it's 0 to 60. You're like, well, I didn't get that done, and it's kind of like, but at the end of the day, does it really need to be done in 64 minutes? I think you'll be fine if it's 67. Like, cut
But
yourself some slack. Like, so I think that's it, right? Like, really being tactile with yourself so you can calm, like, whatever it is, and then probably don't dive into the situation, but maybe like, okay, I'm not prepared for this. You might not be prepared for what comes out of my mouth. I don't know if I'm going to be prepared for what comes out of your mouth, and kind of extract yourself from the situation. Or
And then you can go actually a little bit more deeper.
Mm,
Also asking later, of course, asking yourself, why is it important to me? Like
ooh,
because everything we do, there's a reason why we do it, and for those triggers there's a reason why. So it's like, let's say somebody is a perfectionist and they're not happy when somebody doesn't do their job. So and you immediately can say, oh my gosh, you didn't do it, I asked you to do this and you didn't do it, you're disrespecting me, you don't appreciate what I do for you, you're not, you're not pulling your weight, and then you're a loser, and then I'm gonna look bad like a team leader or whatever. But then you have to ask yourself, why do you want to be the best? Because you think that when you are the best then you will be loved. So there's always like a deeper layers why we react the way we react. But the moment when you realize that, you know what, that's actually doesn't matter at all, and that person maybe didn't do the job today because they had a sick baby at home, not because they disrespected me, and you change that point of view, what's really happened, and it's not really personal to you, you may come to conclusion like, I don't really even need to react that way because it was not really personal. So it's not like simple button that as soon as you get triggered, you're like, oh yeah, I have this button, bam, and it's done. No, there's always those
that would be so great.
layers of layers.
no, you're right. You just blew. I just had this. I had an aha while you were speaking, because we in acting class we used to have to sit and opposite somebody or opposite our teacher or an actor, and we would be asking each other questions, and the other person across from you was only allowed to use the word why. So you'd get asked a question and you like, because I'm not happy. Why? Because someone parked in my spot. Why? Because I was like, and it got so deep, and by the time you were like 24, you had the truth finally.
Yeah.
not the not the surface level. And then you really know where you were working from. Then
Yeah.
you really had the heart of the situation, which is, wow, now I really know kind of how to lean into it. But I didn't even think like, wow, really deep in just the why. I think if you can just ask yourself why all the way until you get down there, that's like how profound.
Yeah, which is the same that we do with our clients. Like when they're like, "What's your goal?" Oh, I want to look in a bikini. Why do you want to look good in a bikini? And then it's like goes and it's like, oh, I would like to live a little bit longer so I can see my grandchildren,
Yes.
raise and think. Like it's the same thing. I love it. The whys. It's so good. So I will add because I'm going to interject. All of this awareness that people have, and they start seeing these things, always should come without judgment, right? Like, don't judge it, be able to kind of look at it and almost remove yourself, so that you can look at it objectively, even though it's you, but like, don't judge it like, oh my God, I should be smarter than having this childhood trauma still affect me. I should know how to manage all my stress. It's all those shoulds, right? Like when you get somebody like that, is like, that's kind of what came to my mind, is like, don't judge it.
Yeah. I should be further along. I already like did this in therapy. Like, shouldn't I be over this by now?
Yeah.
Having compassion to yourself and others, and having compassion towards yourself is probably the hardest thing.
Yeah, that's it. That's the word. Yeah. And it's funny because I recognize like some people that, I really do feel in the field that Alicia and I are in, you can see the people, they struggle with their nutrition or their weight, and you really know it's something deeper. Like you can tell. It's very hard for me to, express that to them, but also sometimes they're very successful in so many other areas, so they can't see it themselves. So if we have listeners today, we want to make sure they have good takeaways. Like if somebody's listening and they're like, well, I do continually struggle with this, or I have a lot of stress, but it's not me. Like what are things that they can think of when they're reflecting back, maybe in their childhood or in their environment, that so they're not putting it on them, it's not them, but maybe to recognize the things that happened around them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. We learn from our environment.
Yeah.
So number one, if you're like, I don't even know why I'm behaving like that, which like to me, it could look like that's normal because that's the only thing I know, which is you cannot understand something outside of your, reach of your understanding, obviously. Mm-hmm. So first you need to think what kind of a childhood you have. If you still have parents that's still alive and you can talk to them, watch how they interact, because you learn this, how to interact to yourself. Also try to remember how they talked to you, what are the expectations, or you just can take a piece of paper and write it down, complaints that you get, like, oh, you're not smart enough, you're not skinny enough, you need to do this and this, you need to do this and this. It's like, what do you think you're not good enough? And and then when you see that the conversation, then that person, the authority figure that you learn from them, that conversation with you're going to have the same conversation with yourself. You will be, have that inner critic always telling you, you're not good enough, you're not doing enough, so you start with this. But it also, like what comes with any trauma, a lot of times our brain can totally block it out. So if you have siblings, you can talk with your siblings and say, hey, well, what do you think of our childhood look like? Or, do you remember how our birthdays were? What do you think mom and daddy did? Or look through the pictures of your childhood, and maybe you can bring those memories as well if you like you're blocking out some things. And then you will start seeing the pattern, because that's what we learn it from. So it's like, oh, my mommy was always stressed out with little thing will set her off. Oh, I'm doing exactly the same thing. But then you need to realize there is the number one thing. You did nothing wrong. Okay, let this set in. You did nothing wrong. You were a baby who was your number one priority was to survive. So you did everything and learned everything pretty much surrounding. So to make sure that you will not die of starvation and you will not be excluded from the group.
Mhm.
Because it's, when you think it's ridiculous to think that it's baby's fault if parents are divorcing, right? But when you are a baby, you think, oh my gosh, I'm such a bad baby, parents might divorcing, right? It sounds ridiculous, but that trauma kind of continues. So sorry, long answer, but
No, I think it's great.
Yeah. I mean, there really is. I do think there's just so much. I love some of the things like that you said. I know I come from a divorced family, and it was, in case anyone's listening, it was Harry Carey. So, but I had to at some point, I went to counseling, and she told me when I would go visit my family, because I would all these things would come up and I couldn't deal with it. She's like, I want you to go and pretend you're going to watch a play. And you're just there. The people are there, they're doing their play, and you're just watching instead of feeling like I'm not in the middle of it. Nobody's paying attention to me. I don't belong here, all the things. And as weird as it was, it really helped. Like I could remove myself mentally a little bit and enjoy everybody for who they are instead of all those feelings of like all the things that came along with this crazy divorce. So that I think is so key. And then what you were saying about in the moment, I remember like now, I mean, I'm a very anxious person, very, like everybody who knows me knows I have high anxiety. I have to manage my stress. And my thing is I have to go right in this very moment, everything is okay. Right in this very moment, everything is okay. And really bring myself to that present, like 1 second and stay there. And then like to live there, but I can't. But
Well, it's interesting because you grew up you went to the play of your life to discover.
Yeah.
I was raised by a single mom until she met my amazing stepdad who became my dad. But I, for a while, Lolita, would say things like this. My mom would say, do you remember da 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 da? No. Do you remember when we? Nope. Do you? And so she would ask me these questions, and I could tell it was starting to agitate her that I was not having the memories of my childhood. So I was in a relationship at the time. We were having some issues, and I said, maybe we should go to therapy. So we went to therapy, and we're sitting on the couch, and I'm sitting all huffy puffy in my corner, and he's in his corner, and he's being all nice and kind and giving her all the answers. And she gets to me, and she starts asking me some questions, and I'm giving her my answers. And she looks over at the end of our session, and I'm expecting like homework, and we're going to couple out together. And she goes, okay, thank you so much, so-and-so for coming in. And Alicia, I'll see you next week. And no joke. I was like, this is a we problem, not a me problem. Totally transparent. I went in the following week. She was, I'd like to do an exercise with you. I said, okay. She sat me down. She's like, I just want you to close your eyes, and I'm going to do a slight I'm going to hypnotize you a little bit, but I kind of just want to go somewhere and see where this lands. And I said, sure, no problem. She takes me on my journey. And by the time I come out of it, I do the whole thing. I'm sobbing. And I open my eyes, and she goes, has anyone ever told you that you suffer from PTSD? She goes, I am not surprised that you do not have answers for your mom.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm 30. How have I got this far? And no, everything made sense. I was like, oh my God, let's go back to childhood. I was like, I got to apologize to all these people. But it was really one of those profound things where, because I don't have siblings, I didn't ask. So I didn't think anything of it until my mom started instigating questions. And I was like, God, I don't remember anything. I must have just a terrible memory.
Yeah.
And she was like, wow, kid, like you've got it. You've got PTSD, and we have some work to do. But I mean, I think it helps for people to know, like, because I was thinking, God, maybe I'm crazy, or I just don't know. I have a bad memory. Like, really, you're right. Trauma can black out your life to save you.
Yeah.
So they were good memories that I was missing out on. I'm sure it was to save some of the maybe not so greats, right? But crazy.
Yeah. So we all have it, even if we don't really, even if you think like, or even if you know you came from like great parents and all the things, there might be something there. So I
Is that how
definitely,
Lolita discovered yours? You said that with your dad. Did you know growing up, or did that come for you later?
I discovered that when I was actually reading a book, How to Run a Business. And there was a personal story. The woman who was teaching how to become a successful businesswoman said that she came across the book for adult children of alcoholics, and I never even heard of that term. And when I read that, it immediately like rang the bell. I was like, wait a minute, my dad is alcoholic. And then when I picked up the book, I was like reading the whole. I was like, "Oh my God! You mean other people feel the same as I am feeling? I am not crazy. I mean, I am crazy, but I'm not crazy.
You're good crazy.
We're all good crazy.
And that happened. I was late 20s. So and I thought like, okay, well, this is normal, because if you don't know what's, until you're not presented with a different kind of point of view, you think that there is only one thing, and then it was like, oh my God, that just opened everything for me.
That's amazing. So then your shift happened, and is that how you got into the people work?
Yes.
And the writing and all the writing.
So all the stress first, and then I got that book, and then so it's like I said, different layers, and keep going.
But why?
keep going.
But that makes such good sense. Like, it's kind of like, okay, the stress, that's that outer layer. You start there, you're like, I've got stress. You learn everything about it. You learn how to help others manage their stress. And then as you really excel in that, you start realizing the deeperness of it. And then you're like the trauma. So it really makes sense that the way you've written your books is like peeling back the onion, right? The layers of the onions, like, let's do the surface level. Let's go here. Let's find your inner goddess. Let's, and then here we are at trauma.
I'm going to need that book.
This is just a question. Adult children of alcoholics, the alcoholic doesn't actually always have to be drinking, right?
Yes. So it's I chose this title because my dad was an alcoholic, so it's kind of more like a personal. But this book is not. But just for those who want to see how this book looks like, that's what it looks like.
Okay. It's stunning, and someone's pushing a huge ball for those that are not watching up a hill. So we'll all be ordering. We'll post the link. We'll post the link.
100%.
So it's not really, because it's for the childhood trauma that was inflicted by emotional unavailable parents, workaholics. You even could have a mother who was always stayed in the house and always took care of you, but she wasn't a narcissist, for example, not emotionally available to you. And it could be even very differently. Let's say a narcissistic mother can do very differently with the daughter than with the son. She adores the son, but she hates the daughter. So it's it's really this, like, back to the siblings. You can be in the same family but have a very different childhood traumas. So basically, my book is written for those who has childhood trauma, because usually it's the same kind of imprints. Is like fear of abandonment, you need the immediate gratification, trying to be perfect, people pleasing, having no boundaries, so it's the same. It's just the title says that, but it's for the very wide audience.
Cool. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. And then in the book, so as we, like, if anyone's like, I wonder, like, in the book you have like signs to recognize, is correct? Like,
so it's like this. I wonder. You, Lolita.
Well, I think, because I think it is true. Most people probably have something, even if they're not aware of it. And it could just be, they could be wildly successful in a lot of areas of life, but just constantly hitting the wall in one area, right? And it might be something like, I don't want to, for lack of a better word, simple, but something that you're not even realizing that happened. And so it's worth reading the book and seeing if anything resonates, like what might resonate, and you go, oh, and then you can have the opportunity to work on it.
Yes.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Because I think that's where people can get the caught off guard is like, oh, but I'm successful. Oh, but I'm this. Oh, but I'm that. And it's like, but yet their brain is going crazy, or they're really having, the one area that they're not having the success that they would like to have in the way they would like to have it. So I think this topic is much, much, much needed. Very grateful you are putting it out there and you were writing the books.
There we are.
Oh, are you still there? Yes.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
wherever somebody's at, yeah, they can start peeling back their own layer if they're having stress at work. We've got the stress at work book, and then of
just
course,
give yourself a hug.
Everybody
That's my
right
biggest
now.
Takeaway.
Everybody, should we turn around? Like, do we need to do that too? From the 70s.
Just putting something over your heart that feels like a healthy shield feels good.
Yes, yes. And so, Lolita, where can people find you?
So you're welcome to go to my website called beamazingyou.com. Or just because,
I'll be subscribing right now. Here we go.
Or you also can find me on LinkedIn. It's just my name, Lolita Guarin.
Okay.
I also have a Facebook group specifically for stress management for adult children of addicts, where I give tips and tricks and videos, and I post the superpowers, because I believe, like if you look for the children who came out of dysfunctional families, a lot of flaws. I actually use this as a superpower, because I think it shouldn't be so sad, and we should not think, are we damaged? Everything can be used as a tool for something better. So
yeah, love it.
So there are multiple ways, and then of course one-on-one consultation, but all of this and online courses that I have, all of this accessible if you go to my website, Be Amazing You, and that's there. And the book is on Amazon, like all other books of mine.
Hey, Amazon. Yes, get your book. We will post the link to your website, Lolita. We will post it for the book. We're so grateful
and
that
on our Facebook page, we can do that for her too.
Yeah, yeah, and also speaking. You do speaking engagements and things like that, and TV. So we're really excited that you've been here. I think it's a topic that everybody needs, and it's just to really create that awareness so that we can make the shifts ourselves in our lives so that we can live our best lives ever, right? Healthy and happy. And that happy part can get sticky.
And you're not alone, right? Like, it is a community. We are all in it.
Yeah.
If there is ever a better sentence for being in it together, it is this. Like, we are all products of everybody doing what they thought was the best they could for the situation that they were in and how they handled it, and from generational speaking. So I think it's a testament to you, not only that you're doing this for a profession and helping so many people, but for everybody, like you said, to not feel alone and to feel like this is really a group and a community. And I'm excited to check out the books.
Yes.
So,
they're great.
thank you for writing, because that is a feat in and of itself, on top of everything else you're doing.
Yeah, she's amazing. Be amazing, you. You are amazing, you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So thank you for being on. I love you to pieces. And I'm sure we are going to have you back on as we keep moving forward, and we can do a deeper dive or a more targeted dive.
Bring the rubber chicken. I feel so left out.
Bring the rubber chicken, girl. Maybe she does stand up too, I'm telling you. All right. Thank you, listeners. Be sure to check out the links to get to Lolita. Be sure to like and comment on our podcast and subscribe. And if there's anything particular you would love to hear about, so that you could make changes in your life that are going to help you live it healthy, happy, energized, with vitality, let us know, because we will bring on expert speakers, and we will also discuss it ourselves. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Lolita, and have a great day.
Thank you for having me.
Bye.
My pleasure.